Hello plant community, thanks for tuning into this channel. My name is Pam, and today you guys we're going to talk about Calatheas and Calathea care. So grab a seat. It may be beneficial to you or it may not, but I'll leave that decision up to you. So let's just get started. Okay guys, so before I go into my care tips, I want to put out a disclosure and also give you guys an actual concept to keep in mind when it comes to Calatheas, because we do know that Calatheas can be tricky. But I think the number one key, you guys, is you have to find Calatheas that work well in your environment, and definitely know the ones that probably would not work well in your environment. So an example of that for me, you guys, would actually be, I believe, what I would classify the more sophisticated Calatheas, which would be the Rosy Picta or the Medallion, or those Calatheas that kind of like look like a rose-like structure. For me in my care, you guys, that is like a top tier plant where I'm not able to keep it happy. So it would be a long time in my plant journey to say before I actually start even attempting to add that to my collection. So all the information that I'm giving you is solely based off of the Calatheas that I have in my collection. I don't have a huge collection, but these particular ones tend to not be as high tier fussy drama queens, although they can fuss, but it's a little bit more of a bearable fuss. So yeah, let's just jump right into it, and we're going to go over the care, and then I'll share with you the small collection of Calatheas that I have. Okay, so let's just jump into it and talk about light. Let's just get light out of the way. Okay, yes, these plants are supposed to be known for growing on forest floors and things of that nature, but they do need light. So I highly recommend no low light situations. Just don't put these plants in low light situations. At least for me, it hasn't really been the best outcome when I do that. So I'm recommending medium light to possibly bright indirect light. For the most part, my Calatheas, most of them are in here, and then I have one in my windowsill in my kitchen, and I believe I may have one that's actually inside my home. And I'll just talk a little bit about that when I do the show and tell portion of this. But yeah, I highly recommend a medium to a bright indirect light, no low light situation at all. I don't think that they do well. And if they did well in a low light situation, then you have to pair that with your watering regimen. And I'll talk about that when I go into the watering aspect. Now, as far as the soil, you guys, the soil portion I think should be up to you as far as your watering style, how often you prefer to water and things of that nature. So having said that, for me, because I know I can be a heavy water when I water. It's not that I'm a heavy water like I'm watering it too much or all the time, but when I do water, I do give it a good drink. Now, because I know that I'm like that just across the board with all my plants, I do try to create more of a chunky area mix. So I am doing some of the regular potting mix with the cacti soil, and then I'll add my other planting mediums such as extra perlite, and then I'll do some orchid bark, and possibly right now I'm starting to use a little bit more of my leca balls in there to give it a little bit more area mix, so that way even though I'm a heavy waterer, what I'm doing isn't going to actually drown my plant roots. So if you're not one that's a heavy waterer, then maybe you can not possibly make your mix so chunky, so to speak. But once again, you have to make that decision as far as your water routines, your regimen, your style. That plays a big part as far as how you want to do your soil, in my personal opinion. Now let's go into the watering aspect. Now these plants, they are fussy when it comes to not having enough water. Like, they want their soil to be moist but not soggy, not wet to the point of where they could be in potential danger for root rot. So one of the things that I try to do is I try not to water beyond, I wait until the first inch of the soil is actually dry. Once I notice that it's dry, you guys, I honestly give it a drink. Now, I'm not drowning it in that regards, but I am giving it a nice amount of water, just enough to let it come through it just once, and then that's it. So far that tends to be okay. Another thing too, matter of fact, I may just jump into that a little later. So another thing as far as the watering too, I have to say I do have probably one like in a self-watering pot, which has been beneficial to me. I've been keeping some of the plants in the nursery pots because it's plastic pots. I'm trying my best to stay away from anything that's porous, and if I am planting it directly into a pot, I am personally using a glazed pot. Reason why is because it helps me not have to worry about watering them that often. So when you have a large collection and you know you have these particular plants that maybe require a little bit more of your attention that you just don't have because life gets in the way, and that's understandable, I want to try to come up with ideas to prolong the watering time. So hence the self-watering pot or the glazed pot, or leaving it in its nursery pot and keeping it away from any type of pot that will draw away moisture. Hence that would cause me to have to worry about watering them a little bit more often than I would like to, and then if I'm not able to do that because of my schedule, then the plants will suffer. So I want to keep that in mind in regards to that. Now fertilizers, of course I do fertilize pretty much across the board with all my plants. It's just an equal balance fertilizer. I believe I still use the Captain Jacks, my 20-20-20. Although I gotta say, you guys, I have a big tub of it, but I do believe that when I do go through that particular fertilizer, I do wanna branch out and probably try a different kind, just so I can do a comparison type thing. There's nothing wrong with Captain Jacks. Captain Jacks has definitely been like a booster for me, but I like experimenting with things. I like trying different things in regards to my plant baby, so I do want to switch it up, but I'm gonna wait until after I'm finished with this Captain Jacks, and then I'll venture out and try anything else. If you guys have a fertilizer recommendation, please comment below. I would appreciate that. So the next thing, propagation. Now, for the most part, my Calatheas, I haven't really propagated any Calatheas. I've been propagating my Marantas by using just the node cutting. So for my Calatheas, if I ever decided to propagate, I probably would not do any form of a water propagation. More than likely, I would do separation, but I like the compact, full look that my Calatheas give me, so I really wouldn't see me doing that anytime. But if by chance I do decide to go ahead and propagate, I'll bring you guys along, and then we can grow and learn together, or see the changes or difference between that. Now, humidity. That is a big question mark, I guess. My humidity, like I said, the majority of them are in this room, and well, right now for some reason, which is crazy, the humidity in here is 62%. I think it's 62% because the majority of my plants have came back into this room, so the humidity has increased. But in the growing season, on average, it was really between 50-55-ish. And inside my home, from what I can see, I think my humidity level inside my home is like a 49 to 51% range, or whatever the case may be. So I don't really think that these particular Calatheas in my collection is that big on humidity. Even though, you know, Calatheas are known to have like crispiness of leaves, it could be a combination of two things: the acidity of your water along with how much humidity. But if you pair your plants together and you have a large group, like in here in my sunroom, I do believe they're grouped together. I'm having probably, roughly, if I had to count, which I do not, I would say almost like 100 plants is in this room. So it's a good environment as far as humidity. Also too, I do have a humidifier up here, by the way, that I do plan on using once the weather changes, because then I will have to turn my heat on in here, and it's going to dry out the air. So I will be using it over that time, because I want to maintain that healthy balance. But honestly, I don't think it has been doing that much. Also too, I think for my water, even though I don't never use water straight out of the tap, I am actually just pour water in my tub jugs and let it sit out at least 24 hours before I actually use it. I don't know if I have a good quality watering system in my area or not, but it's crispiness of the leaves, but not to the max or the extreme, so it's not enough to bother me too much. And if it is, then, you know, I'll just go ahead and just chop the thing off. It'll promote new growth and everything will be okay. So let's just jump right into my collection. Start off with the big one that y'all see right here. This is my showcase one that I've been recently showing, I believe, here as well as on Instagram. And this is the only one that I have in a self-watering pot. And the reason why I decided to put this, look you guys. And if y'all watch me do my chore video in the growing season, I had cut a good amount of plants that was crispy and wasn't aesthetically beautiful to me. I just chopped them off. But when I did do that, it just activated this plant to grow out even more and push out even more growth. And as you can see as I'm turning it around, I mean, this plant is like one of my favorite Calatheas in my collection. I decided to put this in a self-watering pot because I was watering this plant a little bit too daggone much, and it was not fitting in with my schedule. So ever since I did that, you guys, I gotta say, for this plant at least, it's been definitely a game changer. It's loving life because, like I said, let me show y'all. And you see that? You see that? Look at all that. The roots are growing through the bottom. And as you can see, they are very healthy roots, very fine roots, but very healthy roots. And this thing is packed, like it's just growing non-stop for me. So I really would I ever size this up? The only way I can actually see me sizing this plant up, you guys, honestly, is if I saw that in some form that it is declining in some way. But I do plan on keeping it in this self-watering pot as long as I'm able to, because I'm really loving that compactness and the fullness. And like, you guys, look, the size of the leaves. You see my hand right here under this leaf is literally covering my whole hand. It's just so, look at that. It can practically cover my face, look. So this plant is beautiful, one of my very, very favorites, and the only one I have in a self-watering pot. Now, my other one, which I have in a plastic pot, and I don't see me taking it out, is my rattlesnake Calathea. You know, I just think also too, like I said, I'm gonna go back to like what I was talking about in the beginning, you guys, as far as finding that plant that works well in your home. Because even though I'm using tap water, you guys, but this must be a hardy plant in regards to the water from the tap, because it has some crispy tips, but honestly, the only time I'm actually getting crispiness of anything, and I will show y'all this when I share with my collection, is when I am forgetting to water this plant on time. Then I'll get a leaf that will shrivel up and curl up and dry. But for the most part, you guys, I love it. Like the waviness of the leaves, the color on here, the beautiful pink backs, and look how compact it is. I happen to have it in this pink plastic pot, and I just put it inside of another. It's sitting right here where it's getting medium dappled light, and no issues, no problems so far, so good. Just forgetting to water it, and it causes that, so you know, which is fine. My next one I actually have in, I repotted this, and I shared this with y'all when I repotted it, and I repotted this one in a glazed pot to maintain or to stop me from having to water this one all the time, because, which is another reason why I have repotted it, because I was watering this thing a little bit too much too. And this is my Calathea Freddy. So this one is also a beautiful plant. This thing kind of heavy in this glazed pot. But, and as you can see, I am not the perfect plant parent. There's no such thing. If you say that you are, you're probably fooling yourself a little bit. But you see that? I too forget to water this plant, and it will respond by doing this. And that's okay. Sometimes it's going to happen, you know. You can't do, the goal is for the majority of the plant not to be like that, because that's when you know you've let it go too far. So every once in a while, as far as my maintenance with this plant, and I'm glad I'm doing it now, I'm taking a look, I kind of like just pull these pieces off, because when you do have the dead stems, you want to make sure that you do remove them because you don't want to attract any pests. Now, I didn't really touch on pests too much. I still try to spray my plants down with water and for the most part, just to clean the leaves and things. And that gives me an opportunity to actually inspect the plants to see if they have any pests. So far, so good. I really have not had any issues with having pests, and I hope that I don't. But if I do, I would just more or less just probably give it a good spray down first and then use my insecticidal soap, because that's always my go-to. Is very good. And even if I run out, I know how to make my own, and that works as well. So, but yeah, the Calathea Freddy, you guys, as you can see, it does have some crispiness of the tips. The tips are a little bit more crispier on this one than it is with my rattlesnake one, which means that, you know, certain Calatheas is not really going to take to the water a little bit. They're going to respond a little bit differently to the water type. Now, I have started, I think, adding some conditioner to my water. I wanted to test that out to see if that would make a difference for the tips, even though I'm not really too bothered. Like the brown tips for me hasn't gotten that out of hand where it starts to make the plant aesthetically unpleasing, and if it does, I'll just cut it off. But yeah, I just started adding the conditioner into my water. I just want to see if it does make an impact or change or something like that. Anyway, my next one that I have, like I said, I have a small collection, you guys. I have a total of just 6, and I just showed you guys 3 of them. This one is probably, I guess, my last purchase in regards to the Calathea, and this is the Macoyana, I believe. Okay, why is it? I may have to spray. I don't know, I feel... I don't know, I just felt like some sticky substance on the back of the leaves, even though I'm not seeing any. I don't want to jinx myself and start talking up pests. What's the nectar that's coming out of the... I didn't even know this plant did that. That's interesting. I'll have to, just to give myself a peace of mind, I may just go ahead and spray. But I haven't really had any issues with this particular plant, not yet. Outside of just the dry leaves for me not watering it properly or on time, which is okay. It's still a full pot. Now, it's still in this pot. It has the... Let me see if I can pull it out. It's in its original nursery pot, you guys. And it's a little bit of roots growing at the bottom. I'm going to leave it alone. I did not take the soil out of here. So believe it or not, it's in a very dense soil. But one of the things that I'm learning now is just sometimes it's best to wait. Don't be so quick to switch it out. And I can't even remember. I bought this plant a few months back for probably, it was either 15 or 20 bucks. I really can't remember. Got lucky at a big box store, I believe, and I saw it. I said, let me just go ahead and buy it. And I did get it. And I really do love it because I love that clear color that it's giving me when the light hits it. It looks very sheer. And I haven't really had any issues with this plant. And I don't want to change out the soil. I probably won't if I do. The only way I'll do it is if this plant is really starting to decline in some way. And or I probably will definitely wait until next growing season to even start messing around with this plant. But it's a very beautiful plant. And these plants that I've showed you so far, all of them are in here in this room. So they're getting the best lighting conditions, and I believe ample amount of humidity is going on because of the large collection that I have in this space. Now this next one that I'm about to show you guys is the one that I actually have in my kitchen on the windowsill. So it's getting, like I said, some subtle medium dampened light because it's fighting for light between this big tree that's in between me and my neighbor's house. So it's also a tree as well as my neighbor. Part of their house is blocking some of the sun from coming in. And this is, wait a minute, let me think of the name before I actually show y'all this plant. My Calathea burl marks. And This was, I gotta say, you guys, probably, I struggled, I think, a little bit with this plant. I had this plant initially in my dining room, and it was not doing good. It was starting to decline, and I believe I got scared. I took it out of the mix, and I had it in water for a little while because I wanted to, I think, make the root system a little bit stronger. I was able to do that, and then I just put it in my soil in a small nursery pot, and which it seems to be liking it because look, see the small roots growing out of there. But it's okay. And I got this, you guys, from a thrift shop. I think this was just it was cute. I think it just fits the fact that I have it in the kitchen, but it was just $1. There's no drainage hole, even though I could put one in here if I wanted to. And it's not really a pot, it's something else. It looks like it has a lip for a lid, probably a little mini pot for cooking or something, but it was just a perfect fit. I just think it's very cute and aesthetically pleasing that I have it in my kitchen with the cute little fruit. And the colors on there, I think, pairs well with the plant. So as you can see, it is very compact. It's full. I love it. I only have pretty much this leaf that's kind of like crispy. Really haven't had any issues with crispy. I haven't had really a lot of crispy leaves with this one. So I think by being on the windowsill, and I do pass it every day, I pretty much do check all my plants that I have on the window ledge in my kitchen. I check it a little bit more often because I know since we cook in there, sometimes the plants can get dried out quite quickly. Because of that, I am very vigilant. And I think it's loving life right there in the window. I don't see me ever taking it out unless it gets too big and too overgrown for the window, but love it. Now my last plant that I'm about to show you guys is actually still a Calathea, I guess, but my Calathea. And this plant is the only plant that I actually have inside my home, you guys. The location where I have this plant at is actually several feet away from a window, which I believe is like a north-facing window. It doesn't get a whole lot of light, but so my plant right here that I'm about to show you guys is solely getting mainly most of its light from an artificial grow light that's on the opposite side of the wall and is several feet away from there. And this is also my Calathea Burrow-Marxii, ambergris, I believe. Ambergris, is that? But I look at this. You guys, it is a beautiful plant. Look at the beautiful backs. And I just got in this white pot. It's just something about the veination. These leaves are thin, which is also another indicator that it likes a lot of water. This one will definitely crisp up on you very quickly if you forget the water. So it's okay to forget watering it when it's probably 1 inch of the soil is dry. You realize it and say, okay, I'm gonna let it go one day. One day it's fine. But 2 or possibly 3 days going by, you guys, the side leaves, lower leaves the younger leaves, they will dry up and crisp up on you fast. So one of the good things about Calatheas is that they do teach me how to be a little bit more mindful of my water routine with them. They are a lesson in itself as far as the plant community. So you guys can comment below, share with me which Calatheas you have in your collection. Is it any of these that I just showed you guys? Are they doing well in your collection? Any extra care tips that I may not have made a mention in this video? Comment below and share, and hopefully someone who may be on the fence about getting certain type of Calatheas may be courageous enough to at least try one of these. So that pretty much wraps up this video, you guys. Please keep in mind, if you love foliage as much as I do and you love listening to planting things, subscribe to this channel. Press that subscription button. I know you're one of those people that's been watching these videos and not subscribing. It's free. Please just help a sister out and just hit the button somewhere around this screen. I appreciate it. Push those thumbs up. That helps get my channel out to new faces, new people, and new conversations. I appreciate you guys' kind words, any support you guys have been giving me. I've been loving it. Thank you so much. And you guys enjoy your day wherever you are in the world. And until next time, guys, much love. Bye.